good morning. I apologize. We're starting a little bit late here, but we're going to get this done anyway. So today we're going to cover chapter 3 in the book, and we're going to talk about evangelizing your community. The title of the chapter is Total Congregational Evangelism, kind of dealing with public information. Slide. I think that's also about the same as saying we're talking about our community image. Our community image. If you need a book still, we've got more books that came in. So I have books up here. Just come on up and help yourself to a book if you didn't ever get one. So community image. Next slide. If we're worried about our image in the community, could you almost feel like we're used car salesmen? I looked to try to get a picture of a good used car salesman, but they all wanted money for that. So I didn't want to do that. I guess what I'm saying is, if we're concerned about the public image, is it because we want to look good? You know, just like you would a car salesman, all smiles, don't worry about the product, trust me, I'm good. I don't really think that that's the case, but when I first read through the chapter, I got to wondering if we were kind of doing that. Well, when you get to the question of why do we care about our image to the community? What would you say? Why do we care? And I'm not teaching class, I'm just starting the discussion. I'm throwing things out, people need to answer. Curtis. Okay, promote the good news. Okay, okay, makes sense. We don't want to look bad. What else? Okay, how about Acts 2, verse 47. Then the people the Christians had favor with all the people. In chapter 5:13, says they were highly regarded by all the people. Perhaps what we're trying to do is not like a used car salesman. Perhaps what we're trying to do is simply remove roadblocks to allow people to come here and to be comfortable. When I thought of it that way, it made more sense. We're just trying to keep those roadblocks from occurring that keep people from being able to come here and enjoy time with us. Again, Matthew 22, what is the greatest command? Love God. And the second is like unto it, which is love your neighbor as yourself. So this is an application of that love your neighbor part. Now, next slide, Glenn. And you can read this all behind me. What we're going to do is I'm going to turn this into a working group. Thank you for being here. What we're trying to do is I want everybody to identify what can we do better. What is there that we're doing well? And Glenn is going to go into the slides here, and he's going to put some bullets on there so we can all see what's being discussed. And even on top of that, John Hardiman is going to take some notes. When Brother Curtis over here makes a comment, we'll know that we can attribute it to Brother Curtis. So that if we have further questions, we can ask him. What were you thinking more about this? And what were you thinking about more of that? So this is a group together that I want us to be very open to discuss. Now, we want to bring ideas up. That's the purpose of this. The purpose is not to tear down ideas. It's to bring ideas up. So with that in mind, let's try to proceed a little bit as we go. Next slide. Please. Yeah, Donna. How would you define community? Donna asks, how do we define the community? Know your target audience. How do we define that community? Somebody. Joanna. Okay. Okay. Somebody we can kind of identify. Truett? Okay. Okay. We come from a long ways to the west and a pretty good distance to the east. So if we consider those dimensions our community, we can kind of even better identify our community as our personal neighbors. We can identify the community as those within maybe a comfortable, easy walking distance to this building. As we go through the topics, I think you'll find the community kind of adjusts a little bit, it changes. Perhaps community is those of the Christians in the Rochester, New York area. So I didn't answer your question, did I? But maybe it's a tough question, but we're going to see a community is almost in the eye of the beholder, in that it's going to change as we go through this. So, okay, let's see. To make the building attractive, inviting, can this building be known and inviting? What is it that makes this building inviting? What do you think? What is it? Appearance. Okay. And thank you, Mark, for working on the appearance along with. It's more than that. Okay. Okay. What is it? Don't make me cry. Okay. Help me understand. What is it that made this feel like home? It's the, it's the people. It's always going to be the people. This building is great. It's a tool that we as God's people can use to grow his kingdom. And we don't want to get that order reversed. This is a tool. Yeah? Okay. We're willing to be involved with our neighbors. Yeah. Okay. Good. What else? Truett. Yeah. Okay. A few years ago, I think the block out on the building there says 2011. We underwent a good deal of construction, building around here. For those that aren't familiar, this building was not at all convenient for handicapped. It was not handicapped accessible. Whether to get up here, we used to go out to the front steps and we'd all take a corner of Phil Perkins' wheelchair, pick him up and lift it up the stairs. Well, that doesn't cut it. That's not the way we want to do things. The same thing, kids. You spoke about Truett spoke about the playground. We have a playground out here. Now, what does a playground? What does an elevator with bathrooms that you can roll into and out of and things like that? Maybe exactly one of those things, or maybe a changing table in each of the men's room, in the women's room, and in the nursery downstairs. What is that saying to people We care, right? What does it say if we don't have that? That's the key question. If we do not have a way to let someone come up here to the worship area physically in an elevator, I submit that we're saying you're not welcome. We don't care enough about you to be able to accommodate your needs. Okay, that is valid too. But if we can work through to that, we owe it to people. Again, limit those speed bumps in the way. Okay, very similar to this, you've heard the leadership up here every once in a while remind you that, hey, one of the things that's really important here is if you don't feel physically well, if you got the sniffles, or you're not sure, we ask you to worship online with us. Because we really want to make sure, we want to have the reputation that if you're here in this building, as far as we know, you're not contagious with something. So there's a security in that. And I'm talking about the visitor, as a visitor, your concern, your safety is important to us. So I submit if we ignore these things, we're telling people that if they have that issue, we don't care. And I don't think that's the truth. I don't feel that way. But that's the message that can be transmitted on that. Julie. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. It sounds silly when you start, but when you think about it, we want this to be as inviting as we can be. Okay. So, what can we do? What can we do to make this building more friendly to someone who's not been here before? Open question. What do you think? Fine? I think we're working on getting a sign that says the main entrance to the building. So, yeah, okay. So let's take out some of the, hey, I got to go on a treasure hunt to see if I can find where the ladies' room is, the men's room is. Truett, what do you think? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Let me be very clear here right now, too. Some of us have been around this building for a long time. And this is a great opportunity for you to say what you've always been thinking. How come we don't fill in the blank? Some of you are pretty new faces here. We really, really want your opinions. What is it that caused you to come back here from the first time you visited? Everyone in here has important information on this. But it comes back to Betty, right here. People. It's the people. And we'll get to that. Okay. Where can we improve this building? John. Cry room. As a grandpa, I don't even know where it exists. I mean, we know that's what it's kind of constructed as, but you can't have a crying little one in the back if you're trying to flip slides. So, okay, a cry room. Yeah, hey, Julie. Mm-hmm. Been current? Yeah. Okay. And that is in the processes to replace that sign up front as well. So, the question is, we live in the township of Greece, and that presents some challenges. But we won't go further than that right now. Yep. Yep. Absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other improvements? Any other things that we really should do? Fill in the blank. Maybe parking? What do you think about parking? It has been a while since I've seen the parking lot filled up, but the past month or so, at least twice, the parking lot was pretty well filled up. What a great problem that is. So now, maybe those of us that come here pretty regularly, maybe our parking spot we need to kind of consider, we start filling in from out there at the fence, and we work our way up closer. Now, if you got, I mean, I'm not going to ask Miss Betty to walk all the way from the mobile station down there, but the point is, if we can consider others before ourselves, good opportunity to do so. Donna. Okay, absolutely. And Steve did a great job by getting that big ballpark light out there. That really helps out a lot. We still have some dark holes out there, and we need to kind of address that maybe. But, Michael. I'll let our community garden discuss that expertly. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You keep adding beds every once in a while too. So very good. Julie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. We can park out there on the street. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, when we park out here, that's the dentist's property out there. We have a letter of agreement with the dentist that on Sundays we're able to use their parking lot. So we do appreciate that. If they ever need our parking lot, I guess they get to use ours, but there's not that many needing dental work during the week. Abigail. Yeah. Okay. Slide, Glenn. We're going to continue. I want to make sure we get all through this. Good signage. We talked about the sign out front. That needs to be replaced. We talked about Truett's impression of the sign in the back. Are there other signs? I think Mark pointed out maybe we ought to have a little sign where restrooms this way, auditorium this way. Nursery. Okay. Okay. Overall sign. Boy, I'll tell you, you would be shocked at how expensive signs are. You get those little engraved things on plastic, whew, those things, we did not have enough money after we built that part of the building to do that. They're that expensive. Sure. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. Anything else about signs? I want to move on. Next one. A website. Hmm. How many of you have looked at the Lawson Road website in the past week? That's not a whole lot of us. When you look at the Lawson Road website, is it accurate? Let me say profoundly, it's a whole lot better than it used to be. Is it perfect? No. Because if you poke around on there a little bit, you'll find upcoming events for August of 2023. You'll find pictures of the most recent event of August of 2024. We need to put more effort into the website because the website is the window the world uses to look at us to begin with before they physically come here. So the website is an important thing. Now, you might sit there and say, there's no way that I have the ability to work on the church's website. All I'm going to submit is, if we decide as a church body that we want to better represent ourselves through that church website, there's going to be a whole lot of little parts that need to be done on it. Perhaps it is taking pictures of events. Perhaps it is just writing a nice little article or an explanation perhaps about what the Wings group does here. And you can participate in all of that. It doesn't take coding experience to be able to do that. John. I don't know. For quite a while, I know if you typed in Lawson Road Church of Christ, you got someplace in, I think it was Ohio. So it took a little bit of effort. Nope, that's not my building. Now, thankfully, we have changed it a little bit to where the first picture that comes up doesn't show Lawson Road here with that much snow on it. So, yeah. Okay. Could be. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that kind of relates to signage. It relates to a lot of things. But the fact is, we really need to be concerned about whether we put out correct information or not. Correct and timely information. Good point. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. I'm glad, but I think there's other things that you can do where you can pay companies so that, they promote your website above somebody else's. It really is cosmic. But I'm glad it works at least that much anyway. Okay, so let's see. Next slide, please. We're going to move on. Treating people well. Yeah, go. Yes. Yes, but how would you feel if, when you get on the website, the biggest part of the website, for example, dealt with how you can contribute? it should be available to you, and I think it is available. It should be on the far right of the bar, as I recall, when I saw it. So if we want to give the impression that we're all about money, that would be a very good way to do it. And we don't. Well, sometimes, Ed, we want to be available so that some of our members can say, I wanted to make a contribution. And we've had that issue. But we got to treat it really carefully. Go ahead. Yep. 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 Yeah. Uh-huh. If we make it hard for the younger generation to effectively participate, then what are we telling them? We don't want them. Shame on us if we allow that to happen. Chew it. Okay? Okay? Yep. Okay. I'm going to keep trying to push on here a little bit because I got to turn this over to Arnie for next week. What do we do well? How do we treat people well here? I know there's packets downstairs that if you walk through the door and you don't have any concept of what to expect here, this may help you kind of understand. Sarah, you had your hand up. Okay. We have a greeter downstairs. Ed? How long does it take to establish a first impression? 2 minutes at the maximum. Within 2 minutes, of the people, and you can argue whether it's when they pull onto the property or when they get out of the car door. Within 2 minutes, they have formed their opinion. And it's really difficult to change that. So how do we do that? Let's say it's a rainy day. Could we wear a rain jacket and hold umbrellas for folks out in the parking lot? That makes a big difference. When it snows here, like Rochester snows every once in a while, can we go out there at the end of Bible class and sweep windows? How about that? Or perhaps run a shovel around, or those gentlemen here, or even some of our younger ladies, put on good shoes that have good traction, and you offer your arm to make sure everybody gets out there. In the back, Tanya. Be genuine. What is there? Let's take 1 minute and say, what is it that we do now that is genuine? There. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Taking a genuine interest in somebody else's life by talking to them. Mark. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Being genuine. We've got to work on the being genuine part. How can we improve on being genuine? Okay. 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 Fair. Go ahead, Martha. We got to get him a name tag here. That'll help. Okay. If we go ahead, Trenturi. Mark, go ahead. Okay. All right. We have greeters. Dolores, go. Mhm. Maybe we should look at it this way. On the church, the on track, I think it is, the church track software provides us access to everybody's phone number if you put that in. If we need to talk to somebody, we have their phone number. Let's talk to the people that we don't know when we're here on a Sunday morning. Let's make a concerted effort to talk to others. We should never, ever have a situation where somebody can walk in our door, sit down, go through the whole worship service, stand up, and leave, and not be honestly welcomed, which means being genuine and being willing to share our lives with them. If we don't do that, then shame on us. We need help. All right. Yep. Real short, Ed. What? What? Go. I'll get you. I'll come back to you, Ed. Go. Yep. Yep. If you couldn't hear in the back, Whitney is talking about essentially getting some professional help to be able to reach out effectively online and other ways. Have we considered it? Yeah, we kind of dabbled at it, but we need to do that. You're right about that. Ed, 15 seconds. Yep. Yep. Okay. But Whitney pointed out, I don't want to miss that. There needs to be a planned effort of follow-up with someone. It should be more than just, hi, we're glad you're here, 3-4 weeks in a row, and then, well, they're either going to keep coming or they're not. Good luck. There needs to be a conscious, well-thought-out follow-up plan. And I know Gerard and Arnie are working on it. And I know that there's a packet, like I spoke earlier, that's intended for that. Go ahead. Yeah, speak up. What Belinda says here, if we're not using the talents of these young people that can fix our problems with our phones or whatever, we're missing out on that. And we're probably telling them at the same time, we don't need them. Well, we need them. Let's be really clear on that. We need them. And if it means we need to do things a little differently, so be it. We need to adjust to use them. Yep. Yeah. Okay, Travis, go ahead real quick. Stick around. Okay, I need, our time is just about up. You can flip through the other side. The neighborhood, we want to consider the neighborhood. Being a good neighbor to Frank over there, our neighbor. The public, where do we need to improve? How do we need to reach out to the public? We've kind of been dabbling around with that as well. Okay. Okay. Our time is come and gone. But let's try to summarize a little bit of this. And I know Gerard and I know Arnie are going to be asking more, and you will have more opportunity to make these statements. But let's be really clear. If we genuinely have concern for the souls of the world around us, then let's show it. Let's be genuine Christians. I didn't say perfect Christians. Let's be genuine Christians, and let's let people get to know us with our faults and not be afraid of that. Please, for next week, read chapter 4 in your book. If you don't have a book, there's books up here. There will be a song leaders meeting in about 1 minute in the little room here. And also, yesterday we had the tool giveaway. Now there's still some tools that are left over. Here's what I would like to state. And please, I know I'm stereotyping, but let's go with this anyway. Ladies, especially, if you want to get something done at your house, if you want to get some plumbing done or some electrical work, there's some books down there that'll tell you how to do it. I can't imagine a better way to motivate a husband than to come home with a book on how to do electrical wiring in your house. I think it'll work. But there's anything you can take, hardware, tools, please take it. Song leaders, to the left.